I was looking around the clubhouse after the loss in Game 4, was it last week at this point, and looking at the nameplates and thinking like there could be a lot of changes come opening day in this clubhouse, and maybe they do take some sort of what would you call it, a soft rebuild with what you were saying, where they don't really go all in and pay for the big guys this offseason and wait for the next one. That's not what is going to win them games, though. I mean, the AL East, everyone kind of figured the Blue Jays would run away with it, and the Rays aren't going anywhere. It's a really talented division. Orioles are up and coming. So if they went that route, I don't know how they contend necessarily, especially if Judge is leaving. I mean, he was far and away their best player in 2022. So I think they need to address their rotation, maybe sign another starter. I think they got to figure things out with who's closing games. If it is Clay Holmes, if it is Michael King coming back from injury, they've got to figure that out, because that was such a distraction and I think a deterrent in the bullpen with the decisions that needed to be made every time. Who was it going to be? It's nice to just have your Mariano Rivera, you know what I'm saying? And then the lineup, there were so many changes. As much as the team improved defensively and improved in different ways, if you take Judge out of that picture, this is not a 99-win team, right? So they would need to make a lot of additions to soften the blow if they did let Judge walk, assuming he's going to put together a similar type of MVP caliber season next year and beyond. So, yeah, you can totally see them going after Soto or Ohtani down the road, but they're also not that far off, right? I mean, if they re-sign Judge, bring Benintendi back, or choose a couple of other guys to fill in those question marks that I just went through, they could still go out and win 90-something games and win a division and be in the same position against the Astros again next year.
And lose against the Astros again.
Yeah, right. So that's the big overarching question, and something that someone asked DJ LeMahieu when he was speaking about it, like, how do you beat this Astros team? And he said, that's a question that we all really need to ask ourselves as we go home for this offseason, because that is, I think they should attack the offseason with that in mind. Like, look at how they've been able to have this sustained success and keep getting to the CS and getting to the World Series. What is it that they're doing? Is it the fact that they're playing their young guys and having Jeremy Pena at shortstop? Should they be promoting Volpe already? Maybe that's the logic that you said. Or are they betting on a guy like Justin Verlander and paying big bucks for someone that's older and a veteran? Maybe they need to do that with starting pitching. So, you could follow what they're doing, mix in your own perspective with their analytics department and their front office and all that stuff, and you try to put together another 99-win team, because then in the playoffs anything can happen. But they ran into the better club, like you said, and that was going to be the result.
So I want to move on to the Jets. They had a multitude of injuries in this last game. I want to start with Alijah Vera-Tucker, though, because I think that's the one that's going to be most impactful, because he's one of the most unique offensive linemen in the league. He's played 4 positions. His speed for his position on the offensive line is very unique, especially for that scheme. So how do you think they'll be able to replace that kind of thing, both within their roster and also schematically with what Mike LaFleur likes to do?
Losing AVT is arguably a bigger loss than Breece Hall, and he just meant so much to them in terms of the versatility, like you said, moving to different spots, because they've been dealing with, like the Yankees, I mean, killer injuries on the offensive line for the Jets so far. They invested so much in that position, and it hasn't really panned out for them so far. For a team with the running game that they have, I mean, you got to, if it's the next man up mentality, or you've got a few days now before the trade deadline to maybe go out and get a veteran that you can just rely on at guard if you're, I forget the guy's name who filled in for AVT at right tackle that they brought in. But it's a lot of
Herbig. Yep.
Herbig's at guard.
Yes. Are you talking about the tackle position?
Yeah.
They have,
that's where AVT was.
They have Font and Max Mitchell. Font will be back this week. He'll be moving into that position again. But they're worried that Font isn't 100% healthy, and that's why Joe Douglas is speaking about maybe making a move, maybe bringing in Conklin, shifting Conklin maybe to the right tackle position. He has experience at the right tackle position, so maybe they do that. Maybe they who's the kid from Texas, Speedy?
Laramie Tunsil.
Laramie Tunsil's another guy that we've heard where the Jets might move in and maybe scoop him up, but they're going to have to pay him, and that does hurt them in the offseason, maybe bringing in another player or maybe even re-signing Quentin Williams, which could be a big problem. So there's a lot.
The big thing with the Jets is they're in such a unique position right now, because you're 5-2, but I think that everyone can agree that their best days are after this year.
Oh, 100%.
In 2023, 2024, right? They're exceeding expectations right now. So Douglas needs to really balance the going all in and making the trades right now, using your draft capital to get better for this season. When you try to envision them in a playoff game, I'm not sure how far they would really go versus, okay, we're doing great right now. Let's learn from this. And next year we still have picks and we still have money to spend in free agency that we're going to be in a better position to be even better than this at this point 12 months from now. So, the fan base is incredibly excited. And I think that the Jets have shattered expectations so far, which is great. Their schedule doesn't necessarily get easier at this point. So don't expect them to be, 10-4 if that's what they're on pace for, to, doubling where the season is right now.
Right.
But you got to overcome those. Losing Hall is huge. They were leaning on the run game significantly because Zach Wilson hasn't exactly knocked defensive socks off since he came back from his injuries. So can Wilson develop and step up? Will they figure out what's going on at wide receiver? Is Elijah Moore going to settle back in, or is he on the move? What's the future with Denzel Mims? But the bottom line is they're showing what the future holds, and this defense is really something special. It looks like they're playing well on special teams, and they have the pieces on offense to contend. So now you get to see him play the Patriots 2 times in 3 weeks, see him play the Bills, and we'll see what happens.
We are talking to Sports Illustrated Fan Nation Jets and Yankees reporter Max Goodman. And it's so funny you bring up Elijah Moore, who is a big ass, okay? I am just so tired of listening and reading the post on social media, Twitter. Now he's putting up psalms, and I mean, he might as well pretend that he's Jesus. He's Kanye West 3.0. I mean, he is a complete idiot. And now all of a sudden he's making handshakes with Braxton Berrios. I could care less what he does. Just go on the field and catch the damn ball and stop complaining that you're not seeing the ball. Get open, you idiot. That's all you have to do. Get open. This has been the problem with the wide receivers. Garrett Wilson, I don't think he has a connection right now with Zach Wilson. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch when they figure things out. And Mike LaFleur, and I think he's done a decent job. Could he wake up? I mean, seriously, where the hell is he? I mean, there are games that he's running the ball too much, and then there's guys open, and he says, you know what, Zach, you're not throwing the ball. You're running the damn ball. They run too much. They have to open up the field. They have to let Zach Wilson figure things out. Stop pampering him. Remember Jared Goff? Remember what the Rams did with Jared Goff? They ruined him. And that's what they're doing with Zach Wilson. This kid could do those things that we've seen Patrick Mahomes do. We've seen what he can do on the run. Let him use his legs. Stop pampering him. I am so tired of watching. These are players that you drafted. These are guys that you expect. If you're a top 3 pick, Sam Darnold went in the garbage. Mark Sanchez went into the garbage. I don't know. Geno Smith, now he's playing well with Seattle. Give me a break. I'm tired of watching this garbage. Go out there. Let these guys play the game. Win or lose, we are going to be good for many, many years. Gardner is a stud. I think Garrett Wilson is a stud. I think Alijah Vera-Tucker is a stud. Quentin Williams is showing you why the Jets drafted him 3 years ago. He's a stud. They have players that you can be excited about. Something that we have not talked about as Jet fans. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, no matter what happens this year. And by the way, if somehow they squeak into the playoffs, I'm telling you right now, if they can run the ball and they can control the clock and play defense like they've been the last couple of weeks, I do not want to play the Jets. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts to that?
Sure. No, I think that their defense has been a force to be reckoned with this year, from the youthful rising star perspective with Quinnen and Sauce, and then the veterans too. I mean, the safeties and DJ Reed at corner, they've really started to step up after a slow start. You got you guys you can rely on at linebacker, and their best position is the defensive line. I don't think we've really even seen what the peak of that group could be in terms of their rotation, how they keep moving different guys in to make sure they're rested, but the star power they have there. To go back to what you were saying, though, I mean, as much as you want Zach Wilson to really spread his wings, you have to also think of what's been working lately. And that's the other part of why what Moore did was confusing, because you're on a team that's winning. They won 4 games in a row, and they're passing numbers have been low across the board in that span since Wilson came back. Breece Hall has been doing so well, and the running back has been working well. The passing game is yards after the catch and short passes like that. So you want Wilson to test it and see what he can do in his second year, because he's only played in 17 games so far. He had the injuries. You know what he can do, but it's only been flashes. He hasn't been able to sustain that in terms of a full game, throwing 50 passes and doing well at it and not turning the ball over. So do you want to continue winning games when the running game is doing well? You want to stick with that. Maybe that's what LaFleur's mindset has been, versus, all right, we're going to abandon that plan and see if we can win now by switching things up. It's also worth noting that they've played against some really quality defensive units in Denver and Green Bay, and now New England and Buffalo coming around the corner as well. So I'm not sure. You've got another couple years with Wilson to really see what he can do, and they can slowly start to mix in those deeper balls and letting him play off schedule and all of that. But that also happens organically too, right? I mean, you see it sometimes when he evades the pass rush. He's able to throw the ball deep. The big deal with him is that he isn't turning the ball over, and he hasn't since he got back from injury. I believe he hasn't thrown a pick yet.
He threw 2 picks in the game that he came back with, when they came back and they won the game, and he hasn't lost since he's come back, and he hasn't thrown any interceptions since that first game coming back. Not one.
Yeah. So the big deal is starting to get that chemistry with Garrett Wilson and picking up where things left off with Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios. And losing Hall is big because you were finally seeing him start to find his own and be that explosive RB1 that they hoped they were getting when they traded up for him in the second round. So now that running back room
with the Giants, by the way.
Yes, thank you for noting.
Woohoo!
You draft a receiver that can't stay healthy, and you guys get Breece Hall.
I love pissing off the Giant fans.
Now he's the number 1 receiver. Wandale Robinson can't stay healthy all year. Now stuck as the number 1 receiver, and you guys have Breece Hall.
Oh, by the way, Tony is with the Chiefs.
That one I'm all right with. I'm just mad at that whole draft process, Dave Gettleman. I wanted Devontae Smith at first. Then he goes to the Eagles. They could draft for Sean Slater. Great tackle last year. They could draft him. Nope, let's not do that. Okay, they trade back. They get an extra first-round pick. Fine. The kid I wanted after that is the kid Owusu on the Browns, who's playing very well as a hybrid safety linebacker. Nope. Kadarius Toney, who plays barely and with the Giants.
The human joystick, that's what they call him. Well,
no, that's Tariq Cohen. He had that name first.
He's playing human joystick with Pat Mahomes now, and we'll see how great he turns out to be, which he'll
probably play more running back than wide receiver, knowing that system.
Fantastic player, by the way. I think the Giants are made a big mistake trading him away. That's just my opinion. But anyways, we really appreciate you, man. I've been reading some of your stuff and really seeing, first of all, your wordplay and you're very precise on how you use your words. I think it's fantastic. And maybe I should use some of your vocabulary. So send me your top words so I can use it on my radio show, because it definitely can help me out. My vocabulary is, it's a little hintless. I don't know. I would go mediocre. Speedy's a little bit better with the words, but, I have the energy and the craziness. So I guess it works. But you're awesome. And I think people need to read your stories and what you do. I think you're fantastic. And keep up the good work. And we'll get you on. I want to get you on again and talk more Jets and Yankees as the season progressively moves. And maybe when winter meetings come up and I tell everybody 2 years ago, I told you Aaron Judge will not be a Yankee. He's going to San Francisco. Maybe everybody will start to listen to me just a little bit more, if you know what I mean. Because I'm getting sick and tired of being always right. I'm just kidding. I'm never right, but whatever. Max, thank you for joining us, bud.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for having me. And I appreciate you saying all those nice things.
Oh, it's true. I only tell the truth, by the way. I don't lie. I'm not kissing your ass. I don't do that. I don't go, maybe Speedy does, but I don't do that.
It's very unsanitary, but okay.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for people and their writings and really what they do and how hard they work. And you can see on every article that you write that you're really precise on what you follow and what you're putting on a piece of paper and or typing up. It's fantastic.